iRacing.
A circuit in which many who come here say the same thing. This might be one of the tighter circuits that you will run. One of the places where overtaking is going to be a little bit more difficult. It's one of the tougher challenges, and that's why a win here at Jerez is going to be a little bit more interesting for those who are around. The challenge simple, the opportunity arises, and we are getting set and ready for racing action, which is, as always, vintage in your IMSA Vintage Series 2025 Season 4. My name's Jake Sperry. Craig King is along with me for today's racing action. Daniel Costello in the director's chair using cameras provided by Dougie Beard, but a circuit that is more known for its motorcycle racing than it is its out-and-out sports car racing. So, if you haven't seen this circuit in action before, here's a little track guide that gives you the heads up on what goes on here.
Welcome to Circuito de Jerez. With a rich history of both open-wheel and motorcycle racing, this track has been the center of Spanish motorsports for many years. It can be found at the very southern tip of the country, located just an hour and a half from the Strait of Gibraltar. Its two layouts include 13 or 15 turns over roughly 2 3/4 miles, and the only distinction between them is the inclusion or exclusion of the center chicane. While it's probably best known for its Formula One races in the 80s and 90s, it's now mostly utilized by sports cars and lower-level open-wheelers. A mix of fast sweepers are punctuated by a handful of sharp hairpins, requiring both good mechanical and aero grip for a stable car. Perhaps the most notorious of the turns is Dry Sack, which was recently renamed to Dani Pedrosa after the famous motorcycle champion. But the corner saw Schumacher and Villeneuve decide the 1997 F1 championship by colliding, only to have the Canadian limp his car home to claim the title. Because of the warm climate, winter testing is very popular here. On top of that, the lap length and modern facilities make it ideal for a wide variety of types of racing. Judging by how much use it sees even 40 years after it was built, it certainly shows no sign of slowing down.
We call this a circuit that has many great properties named after many great riders that have come around here, running the Moto layout, so no Ayrton Senna chicane, but when you've got Dani Pedrosa, Jorge Martinez Aspar, Angel Nieto, Alex Creville, and Jorge Lorenzo, that's 5 bike riders for 5 corners.
And I'll tell you what, this is what I love about the bike circuit, because you have Alex Creville at 11, which if it was a GT circuit today, the Grand Prix circuit as they say actually, it'd be chicane Ayrton Senna, which doesn't work for these cars, because this is a track the IMSA Vintage drivers love. This motorbike aspect of the track means a lot of wide, flowing, quick corners for the GTPs, and they love it because they've got so much runoff room, but be careful not to get an off-track or a slowdown penalty for going too wide, and it's why it just delivers some high-octane passing opportunities and moment in the racing. Fantastic battles here, but of course, a shout-out for those Audis, just because the GTPs like it, the GTOs, they don't like the fact that they're going to modulate the throttle a little bit round here, and that's going to be the test for them today.
Yeah, there's a lot of testing corners. Michelin corner turn 2 is going to be one which will get a few drivers up, and then down at Dani Pedrosa, keep an eye on that. Now, championships are going to be worth a talk because we're heading to the 1/3 stage of the season, and at your top end, it is Augias Valenteius who has himself the control. He won in Lotus 49s earlier on today, and he's got a 7-point lead at the top of the championship over Pepe Fuentes. Christophe Lenajak is in 3rd position, with Jacob Reed, the champion of last season, only in 4th, 13 points adrift. Heading Schwebig and Davide Riccardi are 5th and 6th, ahead of Ivan Platon and Gabri Martinez, 7th and 8th. Jack Wells finds himself 9th, with Emilio Dicciari rounding out the top 10 of GTP. GTO, as always, has been a fantastic battleground, Craig.
keep it quiet because Mickey Friesen is leading the championship early doors, just ahead of his long-term rival Johan van Hicks, who's in 3 points behind him. Josh Brain and Juan Lundberg will be battling for third and fourth. Johnny Hagner still on that resurgence after a couple of seasons in fifth. Doug Cloud makes that early season start there in sixth. Just ahead of him, the resurgent Ian Haycock. Scams Goga will be in eighth with Andreas Schuster in ninth, and Martin Krajcik will be in 10th position. It's a who's who at the top, and a lot of names where consistency is key at the bottom.
Well, I would say keep an eye out on the fact that Mickey Friesen is not here today, and so we'll be using one of his drop rounds. It's round 4 of 12. You've got 40 minutes worth of racing here today. Everyone's in an open setup, so they have the ability to build the car to how they like it. There are no spare cars available. If you find yourself in any of the gravel traps around here or further to that, the barriers, it's a day done around this place. And of course, a drive-through penalty will be coming through at 17 instant points. Disqualification will hit at 25. So that will mean that you've got to be well within the lines today around a circuit that prioritizes you to be precise and accurate the way you have to win races like these. Qualifying is currently in the thralls at the moment. They have 8 minutes to set a qualifying time. They have two laps available to them for a time to be set. James Barry sees Aldrius Valenterius go 2/10 clear at the top of the boards. He's third at the moment, working himself at 240 kilometers an hour through Alex Criville, 250 through the Ferrari corner, 264 on the brakes into the final corner of Jorge Lorenzo, and driving for that line. Is there enough to take the time? Pepe Fuentes with a 22.2, and James Barry a 23 flat. Couldn't improve.
No, could improve, but look at that. Valenterius is not pole position so far. That ball onto Pepe Fuentes, and this is Pepe Fuentes right here. And you now start to see, we saw the back end of the track. Well, look at the sweeping corners here. This is Cito Ons around now. A lot of an uphill there, straight onto the flat, onto the back straight you will go to just get onto the brakes hard. But Danny Pedrosa, and it's just another legend of the motorbikes going by. But here's Valenterius, the #1 car on it for a reason. Still hunting slowly but steadily to get that 9K back. He's been dabbling everything this season. Last time he will come around Jorge Lorenzo one more time. Doesn't open up the corner like I thought he would. He's got a lot of time to beat. He's got to find 2/10 if he wants to get onto pole position. And I tell you what, he does not find them.
Can't even find the front row. He's 6,000 short of Jacob Reed, so that's troublesome. Pepe Fuentes then will be backing off of this, so he will not be improving in terms of where he finds his time. Jacob Reed, I don't think, has got anything to answer for, so let's go down to GTOs, where it's Theo Schleray who is quickest at the moment on a 38 flat, and it is a who's who back there. Noel Lundberg, Andreas Schuster, Jonny Hagner, Joran van Hicks, Ilka Cotasalo and Sam Skogo are waiting in the wings. Here comes Joran van Hicks to the line, and that then, as he crosses, is a 38.145, good enough for the front row of GTO.
It's good enough for the front row. Noel Lundberg, he did not have a good run through Danny Pedrosa. The car was a little bit sliding as we go over the shoulder to see what he sees. Look at the speed differences now. They come to Pellegrini, and now they come to Alex Reville. And this is why you enjoy seeing this layout here, because this is just full out throttle for them now. A little bit of a lift as well around the Ferrari one more time. I don't think we got JD Rodriguez out there today with his Ferramin, but Jorge Lorenzo comes by. It's just 0.04 of a second between Theo and Lundberg in third. That's how close it is. What can he find? Very shortly he needs to get into the 37th. He can't even do that.
He improved, he gets himself front row, but critically, he can't take the pole away from Theo Schleray. So that is mega in terms of time. Andre Felipe Diaz works himself then through Palucci corner, and now over into Alex Creville, desperate for any lap time at this stage. A 25.7 is the slowest time set by Jason Keddy out there, with Josephine Becker on a 23.9. So can the number 36 drive it for the stripe and move up the order from starting right at the back? The answer crossing the line is that one won't count, and there won't be enough time to get another lap down on board. I look around and don't see anybody else out there on a flying lap. Everyone else is on practice at this point. Martin Bogren is one of those. Lowest I rating in the field, Craig, 300 I rating.
Just because he's got that I rating doesn't mean he isn't a pushover in the park. In fact, doing some very good drifts, actually. Look at that, he's not a pushover. It just shows us how to drift one of these GTOs just perfectly. So good going from Martin. A key thing I want to talk about, look at the qualifying times earlier this week. And we see Pepe Fuentes, that 22.2, just one man went faster this week. It's Jacob Reed. And you look at the GTOs, well, unfortunately, nobody has gone faster in qualifying this week. Theo sets the fastest qualifying time.
All right, let's take a look at the starting field, and we'll start with GTP as they get themselves set. Pepe Fuentes, home soil, gives you an extra 2/10, and he needed all of them because he's up by 600s over Jacob Reed, the reigning champion, and Aldrius Valenteus, who is the championship leader. Jack Wells will go from 4th position with Christopher Leinejak and Henning Schwebig, 5th and 6th. James Barry will go from 7th, 8th will belong to Brendan Lim. Your top 10 rounded out with Fabian Youngbluth and Emilio Ducciari, the Argentine there in 10th position. 11th is going to belong to Bjorn Ackermann with Davide Riccardi in 12th position. Gabri Martinez a little bit out of sorts in qualifying with Diego Mastretta 14th. Josephine Becker and Jason Keddy were the last two to set lap times, which means the back of that field is belonging to Lance Simon and Andres Felipe Diaz, 17th and 18th respectively. GTO has an interesting storyline right now with Jack David Spickett, and he's got a smell of burning apparently, Craig, currently in his room at this stage.
Yeah, he didn't have a hot qualifying time, though. That belonged to Theo Jerez, who came away with the pole position ahead of Noel Lundberg, who was in 2nd. Then it's Johan Van Hicks in 3rd, and look how close those top 3 are. Andreas Schuster will be in 4th with Joni Hagner in 5th. And Jack David Spickett is going to have to put some fires out before he puts some fires in the racetrack in 6th. Ika Costa Starlo will be 7th with Martin Krejcik in 8th. Sam Skogard will be in 9th, and Doug Cloud will round out the 1st page, which then at car number 11, surprise, surprise, is 11th. Matthias Hadvar will be 11th with Ian Haycox in 12th. Aitor Sintez Galindo will be 13th with Roman Bello in 14th. Matthew Cockerham will be 15th with Jamie Hamill-Smith in 16th. And then it's Brandon White, 17th with Yuri Wickstrom in 18th. Richard Heinemann will take 19th for Martin Bogren. Last of the time qualified, Henry Viramaki, last on the page, last on the field. Where will he go today?
Well, up hopefully from 39th position as a start. They have one full pace lap to get themselves ready, 2 minutes to get themselves up onto the grid, and they have just launched off and started making their progress. So that's what they will have available to them. You cannot miss the colours of the Worcestershire flag that are currently being set with Jacob Reed in that green and yellow at the moment. The data science who has done wonders in the past, and also on top of that, IndyCar, I say, an iRacing IndyCar driver, and on top of it, a 2-time iRacing Grand Prix World Tour champion, currently at risk of losing that championship to Eduardo Radice this year. So he's got that in mind. You got Pepe Fuentes there, and it is a stacked field in both regards, but a circuit where I think respect is the biggest name of the game. The moment you get to the lapping process, you will need respect.
The Audis are always told to hold their line and be respectable, and the blue flag rules in iRacing are be predictable and help facilitate the path. That does not mean going off the racing line and lifting, and it's so tough with these corners. Sometimes the Audis will have to do some lifting, sometimes the Jeeps, when in those times the Nissans have to go flat out. So that's going to be very interesting out there today, because you will see some of the Audis thinking, I don't have time, I'm going to have to go around the outside. Well, that blue line there on the outside of a curb, some of that's an off track, some of that's a time slowdown. So this is going to be an issue for some of those drivers today, but they have to remember those Audis cannot change the lines. And I'll tell you what won't be changing today is our track temperatures. It's 24 Celsius, it's 75 Fahrenheit. The wind is a bit light, going about northwesterly at the moment, but it's going to stay like that for most of the race. But it's only 9 kilometers, Jake. Shouldn't be playing too much of a havoc out there today.
No, this looks like the sort of day where it's just going to be a pure race, and with these cooler conditions out there overall, I doubt that we're going to be seeing too many worries around how this is going to play out. Now, you do have to keep in mind those track rules and where the limits are, because they do play a very tight factor around this circuit. It's none of this NASCAR business where you can extend off the circuit a mile and a half in every single direction like you can at Watkins Glen, for example. So this is going to be one of those tracks where you have to play in between the lines. This isn't interpretive colouring in. You very much have to colour in as perfectly as you can. With Pepe Fuentes holding control of the field, the iRacing Porsche first safety car will take the dive off into pit lane. That will send the control through Jorge Lorenzo corner, and the field now getting ready to launch. And a great launch by Pepe Fuentes, but he was scouted by Jacob Reed, and we get ourselves underway here from Jerez into Expo 92. Valentin throws it up the inside immediately and has a second bite of the cherry as he heads over to Michelin corner. Can he get the clearance on Jacob Reed? Answer is no. Two left-handers favour him.
Two left-handers favour him in the GTO. It was a good start from Lundberg. He had the inside going into Jorge Lorenzo, and of course that's going to help. And Van Heck holds off the charge at the moment, but look at Jerez getting hammered now, attacking Lundberg as much as he can. Not a lot of overtakes happening. Scouts Kogan already down 2 places, but that's the only move at the moment. Pressure goes up.
Look, Jerez said before this race started, watch me lose this race lead after getting the pole position, and he's made that true, going in second position. So he's dropped himself some time. Cotasalo on screen right now, really having to work as they dive and descend down towards Drysack corner. It's Danny Pedrosa corner, one car off there in the background, but only just a scamper off the road, and Cotasalo almost tagging the car in front of him, Martin Krajcik, so just about able to avoid that.
A lot of damage on the front of Ian Haycock's car at the start of this race. Losing a position for Roman Bello. I wonder if they just got caught up there. Aitor Sintes Galindo loved this track in a GTE. I wonder what he's going to do today in a GTO. One of his best qualifying so far. This is his first full season in these wonderful Audis, and he's really having the challenge. Going from a prototype to a GT is one thing, but staying in these GTPs and keeping fast is another. Jacob Reed holding off Valentin again. Pepe, how long is it going to be for him? And Josephine gets another position as Jason Creddy has a mistake.
Yeah, so Keddy then dropping down a bit of time, losing out with a bit of a mistake there, but anytime you've got a hit on some of this machinery, you've got to be careful. They do have damage on there. Ian Haycock, for example, someone who has picked up damage. Sam Skogo has got damage on the front right corner. The rear, it doesn't look healthy on one of the cars out there. One of the rear wings, they're not looking too brilliant. I think it's Doug Clouds that looks a little bit caved in, and yes, it does look that way, but it's all about giving yourself platforms to attack. You can't win this race in the opening 5 minutes, but we've seen so often how quickly this race can be lost.
If I told you Doug Cloud had that weight damage and all that damage was caused on the formation lap, would you believe me? No, but you've got to believe you've got Ackerman going, having a little bit of an off there, trying to keep that car under control, and that was just him having a little bit of a trip coming through the curve of Polini and managing to avoid everybody.
Well, wherever Joe Peak is at the moment in time, I think he's just started talking about Bjorn again there, because it seems he never has good luck this season. He's been caught with mistake over and over. Christopher Lenejak with the fastest lap of the race, and Andres Felipe Diaz is trying to work his way through the GTO's 4th position.
I think when you saw a car going off, I think that was Andres Felipe Diaz. Wouldn't be surprised if he actually had a hardware failure and had to pull the car off to one side. So now he's just going to have to do a recovery. That was Ian Haycock just off there for a moment. That's Ian Haycock having a little bit of an issue out there as well. Just now he's going side by side with Matthew Cockerham. I wonder if that's him going a little bit too late. The 34 Brandon White's going to try and get into this great overhead camera shot to show you what happened. Nothing yet, but yeah, I believe it was Ian Haycock was avoiding a sliding Roman Bello.
So Romain Bello will drop down a little bit of time, but he stays ahead of those around. Aitor Sintes Galindo wants a way through. Matthew Cochrane is going to eye up Expo 92 as a way to make this pass, and behind him, there goes Jamie Hamill-Smith eyeing up Yuri Vikström for a pass. Then Vikström stuck on the outside here. Jamie Hamill-Smith commands Michelin corner and will have 3 and 4 in his back pocket. Wonderful battling going on in the mid to late pack here of your GTO field, but it is getting very busy up at the front, and Jacob Reed is now eyeing up this pass to the outside against Pepe Fuentes. Pepe stands him up at the door, but as we look through the 007 camera, Jacob Reed is not behind. He needs to worry about Aldrius. It's in front where he looks to be very racy today.
And did you see, once again, a lot of gravel at Michelin there on the racing line. So I think last lap something happened to one of those GTPs. And did that hold up Valenteus, or did that hold up Fuentes? I don't think it held up Reed, because they would have lost a little bit of speed there. A little mini serpentine there, as you like to say, Jake. And another as he goes on to the defense, and Jacob trying his best through Danny Pedrosa to do a Danny Pedrosa, just not there at the moment. They gotta keep it calm. He wants his position now, Jake, before the traffic hits, so he can open up a gap.
Well, he's about to hit it. Martin Bogren is moving himself through Angel Nieto corner and over to Palucci. And at these fast right-handers of Alex Creville and Ferrari, you are going to see such a speed difference between them. So we were talking 250. Bogren can only do about 180 kilometers an hour. Oh my goodness, what a massive move down the inside. It forces 3 wide for the lead. Aldrius powers to the outside, but can't get the run. And that is a drive-by at almost 100 kilometers an hour worth of difference. And now pinned down to the inside is Valenteus as Jacob Reed tries to work the outside as the Oracle.
Here comes a Lesnar Jack as well, as he wants to get involved. If you ever wanted to look at the difference between speeds in these classes, that was the perfect anatomy there to show you. And you've got to worry for a moment. How did Fuentes, how did he avoid that for the moment? Just a little bit of scrapage on the front of that car, but he's okay. That's the first car they've got to go through. 6 seconds up the road as the rest of them, and the drivers being a little bit ambitious with the off-track. Jacob Reed sets something up here again. Again, he will have to do a Danny Pedrosa. No, these cars can brake late. That's what Valenteus has done. He's blocked all the lines off there for Jacob Reed.
Great move there from Jack Wells. He dives down Christophe Jack and gets the pass sorted. So that's a move done. Take another look at this then. Pepe Fuentes, you've got to be so committed here at Ferrari corner. And look at that. Down the inside. Oh my goodness, I tell you what, if you've got 300 iRacing and that is on your scene and straight by you, that's enough to give you kittens.
I mean, I'd be getting in the pits right now for a change of underwear. That was absolutely chaotic, just like this at the moment. Valenteus just pushes Wickstrom off the line. He needs to get by. Jacob Reed said, I'll take that as well.
Big one!
Big one, Alessia, just what I was saying, we lost him. He lost it himself. That was Swebeck getting involved as well. And that was both of them coming around the outside. And it was Alessia Jack, just a little bit of a slide. But Swebeck did open up the corner a bit too much.
Well, for Henning Schwebig, that's going to be his day done. And the reason why is that he got caught up with so much overspeed there and just the amount of traction needed. Jacob Reed desperate through the traffic. Look at them, they're going either side, and there's nowhere to go for Jacob Reed through the middle of this because they've got traffic as well. Of Andres Felipe Diaz works himself to the outside to try and get through. Pepe Fuentes gone by a second at the front of this field, and they're going to hit the main crux of it all as they head through Danny Pedrosa corner and now work themselves over to Aspar, which is coming up next. But you've got Havdal, Craterix, Spickett, Contesolo and Cloud as the next group. So this is a critical phase of the race. Every car now is going to be about how do I get through, and the patience now from Pepe Fuentes means that Aldrius is back in line, and how aggressive Aldrius has had to be just to stay in range.
As a man once said, this is vintage in the vintage. Brendan Lim almost is getting caught out there. No, Brendan's getting hit under the back almost there. The driver's just going through. We got to look at what Jacob Reed just done. What has Jacob Reed just done? He is hacking it. He's hacking it, Valenteus. What a move. He's got back up into P2.
He didn't do it by one, he did it by two GTOs to get the pass. Absolutely sensational stuff from the likes of Jacob Reed and Aldris Valenteus. Valenteus isn't giving up, he's scrapping on the rear and can't quite get himself then into place. And you thought this would be a boring track? Well, I say multi-class, and every time it is legendary. And look how busy it is in front with the likes of Hagner, Schuster, Van Hicks now trying to get by Schleray for second position. They've allowed Noel Lundberg to escape, and this is going to be very dicey on the brakes. There's contact, they all have to jump on. Van Hicks is going to go straight on through the corner. Schleray's going to have no room on the exit. He gets a door then from Jacob Reed, and around the outside Valenteus has to pin himself round the corner just to hold.
Now, can we just talk about Van Hicks getting that position over Jerez at the same time? Vio's not had the best of first 10 minutes of this race, but every time you try to look at the GTPs, or the GTO, sorry, the GTPs are just going. The key thing in that GTO, what we've been missing, is that Noel Lundberg has a 2.5 second lead. Tejas Hadval now in the pits as well. He's picked up some damage and a crack out there, but there is the number 6, the man, Noel Lundberg, with another good drive. 2 seconds is the gap. He was free of that traffic, and that's important in this. Not just the GTPs losing time out here like these guys battling, but the GTOs. If those guys start battling, well, you're going to be losing time.
You will, and so that next group is in trouble and needs to work together to get back. Van Hicks, Schleray, you've got there the likes of those trying to work through. Andreas Schuster in there, Yoni Hagner, another one who's got to try and work it out, and every time it's difficult. And Pepe Fuentes right now is stuck in purgatory round the outside of Cito Pond. Are you mad, Jacob Reed, trying to make that happen? It's very tough to do, but now he's going to have to try and figure out, where do I want to go? Valenteus pulls to the outside. Jacob Reed makes a big, bold decision to try and get it done the long way around again, but still can't quite find the line. They are pinned behind Pepe Fuentes, and Pepe says passing is not on the menu.
You got one of the greats in Formula Racing on iRacing. You got one of the greats in Vintage Racing on iRacing. And you got Pepe Fuentes. And I'll tell you what, Pepe Fuentes has got some pedigree. He's a fantastic Lotus 79 driver. So these are not two guys that Pepe wants to mess with. But he's telling them, hold on. You might have been dominating this series the last few seasons. I want in on this. Josephine Becker and Martin Krejcik just totally go to replay.
Yeah, so we've got to keep your eyes out on what has happened. This is Theo Schleray. He's been caught up. He's had him, and and look, you try and get back into line. There's the secondary hit, and Schleray is dumped out there over to the left-hand side into the gravel, over the top of Cito Pond. A dramatic incident, to say the very least, and that looks like it has been the catch-up with Josephine Becker and co. Jacob Reed now has a bit more traffic now to try and work through. And look at the lights flashing in the back. P4 Jack Wells, he's really paying from all of that. Valente is trying to steal a bit more time.
Yeah, just a little bit more time, and I do wonder if Jacob, once again, for the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, the 7th time, tries to go around the outside of Danny Pedrosa, does not work. And you can't even set yourself up for an over-under on that because of how quickly the next corner, turn 7, just grabs you. So this is interesting. These guys have been battling so much. Jack Wells is in with this now as we go to another replay with Josephine Becker, and this with Josephine trying to get around, and that's what I mean. Trying to get around, and that's what I was saying earlier, Jake. These Nissans will keep it a bit too pinned to the floor and try and go around the outside. That's why you've got gravel on the outside of tracks.
Martin Krejcik caught up in it. Aldrius goes straight on. He takes the long lap penalty.
Not what he was looking for. This is not MotoGP. This is iRacing. You don't do a long lap penalty, but he got a bit too hot, trying to do a little bit of an over-under. Is he going to try and go around the outside of Jack Wells? They both do a drift, then side by side, and in the front, Jacob Reed trying to get past Pepe Fuentes, then side by side, and they're going to keep it going through Michelin. They went into side by side, 3 and now 4 side by side, and Jacob Reed gets the lead.
At long last, he will say. Well, Jacob Reed, that was critical. The pass he needed to get by Pepe Fuentes. He knows what his race is all about. Aldrius now back in 4th position, but Pepe, for the first time, is going to have to sit down on attack. and say, I've got to try and do something about Jacob Reed. He'll need another line of traffic to help, but they're about 2 laps away from that being the reality that they sit with. What wonderful racing here in GTP, and lest we forget the GTOs are starting to string out.
Yeah, they're starting to string out, and it's interesting to see them spring out so early as Noel Lundberg kept that 2-second lead, and Johan van Hicks has now started to pull ahead of Andreas Schuster. So the cork in the champagne bottle has opened in the GTOs. We may see it open now in the GTPs with Jacob Reed getting past Fuentes. That's going to be one to keep your eye on, but Lundberg has to keep eyes in the back of his head, as some of the back markers in the GTPs are now starting to get by these. This is Johan van Hicks. He's still trying to catch up, but what do you do? Lundberg's got such a good lead so early. I feel that could be it, knock on wood.
I think you just have to keep plugging away. He's still got 25 minutes. That gap can be reeled in, but it's going to need some lightning fast lap times. Lundberg last time round, 38.1. For Johan van Hicks, with cars going by, 38.8. Opened up the door. Jack Wells now trying to barge his way through against Pepe Fuentes. This now for second position here, and nowhere near close enough moving in to Danny Pedrosa corner. You've got to start thinking about how you line up this move, because they have allowed Jacob Reed 1.3 seconds to work with, and you leave him anything to work with, you know, he's just going to bolt. That's the way he goes, diving straight down the inside of that lap traffic there, that being Richard Hindman, the Canadian.
Yeah, now let's look at what Jack can do, and with no offense to Jack, he is not a Valenteus. He is not a Jacob Reed. He's not going to be able to try and get this move done around the outside of some of these corners. He almost has to brute force his way and play the mistake, and this is what he's doing right now. It's a really nice movement. Fought for a second, maybe on the brakes I could get him, but that puts that fault in the back of Fuentes' head. But 1.6 seconds. Traffic may be a little bit spread out in the GTOs, Jake, but I still feel that one car can cause a little bit of a group up here for this GTP traffic, providing that Pepe doesn't provide his own little bunch of traffic here.
Yeah, this is going to be one where you look around, and I think Pepe's side of the car there on the right side is absolutely correct. You are in big danger, my friend. You are in big danger, because look out, you've got 2 drivers who want to wade through. A search to the inside at Cito Bonds. He's prized the door open. He's given himself critically the inside for Drysack corner, and Jack Wells is going to now give himself the advantage, and Aldris is going to pin it from a mile back. Oh my goodness, you need the Hubble telescope to see that one coming. Oh, he gives a door. Jack Wells is in the wall, and now has critically heavy damage.
Critical damage. I wonder if he's got the meatball flag. That was not what Valenteus was doing. He just opened the corner up a little bit too early there. They came together, and it was Pepe Fuentes just tapping at the back as well. It is a meatball flag for Jack, and you've got to feel for him. He was in a fantastic position, and he has been knocked out of it. And now the question is, was there any damage to the back of Pepe's car? What about Valenteus? It was a small checkup, but there was still a small amount of damage there for Valenteus. He's going to find 4 seconds now to read.
Well, Aldris Valenteus was never going to move over from that point. He was absolutely ruthless about that. He had an overlap. He gave a 1-car width on the outside. Jack was trying to move over to the right-hand side, expecting Aldris to move, and Aldris just said no, and just bounced him off like it was rugby, and you know, he's out there as a 2 and he's got like a winger trying to take him out. That was very much a case for Jack Wells of, you learn after that incident.
Yeah, it's one of those, he won't be happy, and there will be, probably won't be happy, and they'll have a little bit of an apology and probably a drink after the race. Not what you want to see, because there was no malice on that. Valenteus saw the opportunity, and he saw there was a big gap there, and he wanted to take it. And now comes the interesting point. Jacob Reed versus Valenteus. Just because the gap is 3 seconds doesn't mean the race is over for GTP. Both of these guys master in multi-class racing. So I do wonder what Valenteus can do, because every car that Reed goes by, he'll be checking the relative to see how much time he gained or lost. But there are other battles going. Lesniak still battling after that race, that mistake earlier. He's got himself back up into 9th, but he's struggling with traffic.
Well, Yuri Vikstrom just pinned himself to the middle of the road, and Christopher Lenejak had no way of knowing which way to go. That balked him a second there to Davide Riccardi, the Swiss driver. So for Christoph here, the pole, he's really got to work to try and figure out how he goes and works himself through. And again, he'll go to the inside while Riccardi in front of him goes to the outside. You've then got Diego Mastretta eyeing up Jason Keddy. Jason's had a really good run today. He's up 6 spots. Speaking of other drivers who've gained great today, Gabri Martinez has had a great run. Olenejak to the outside, trying to make it work at Expo 92. Not going to find that there, and the traffic's going to stop a run at Michelin.
Yeah, traffic's going to stop a run, but it should be okay to just keep on going. More gravel on the inside there at the exit of Michelin. Do wonder what happened to him. It's going to be one to keep eyes on. You see, gravel is usually a driver's gone off, or a driver's had a moment out there. Nothing at the moment. Slow in front is Emilio Dicciari in the Toyota-inspired livery. What can Ricciardi do in this moment? I do wonder Bob can get out the way. Ricciardi for the send. Ricciardi with a fantastic little move there. The dummy after the dummy did not work there for Dicciari.
Bogran there was very slow on the inside, trying to let everybody go by so he can continue his race. And so Ricciardi now's got to work hard. They're trying to work either way at the traffic. Cars in the gravel and in the grass as well, trying to avoid all those troubles. It is Dicciari who now spins there back from the 007 cab. So he'll have to wait for everybody to get up to speed before going again. And that's a poor rejoin in front there of Martin Krejcirek, but he'll get himself going. And they are scrapping behind because Bogran can't take a line that he wants to. Jamie Hamill-Smith now gets the inside line, but can't work it out through Alex Greville. Brandon White will hold steady. There's the contact. Oh, up and over on top. Matthew Cockram goes flying.
Yeah, Cockram goes flying. Hamill-Smith with a lot of damage. More cars going off as well. And it's that Yuri Vikstrom that's just gone off as well. He's had a little bit of a moment out there as well. And that's just a whoa. Boy, easy there, Lars. Just going right on by. And that is the moment that you could see that Bogdan was trying to keep out of the way. Sometimes keeping out of the way just throws you onto that blind that doesn't have rubber. You lose the grip a little bit. That's what happened there, unfortunately. It caused a mini one out there, not as big as the Petit Le Mans today, but it's enough for the GTs to just have a little bit of a moment. We get back to the top of the field as Jack David Spickett. I think the fire's out in the house now.
Yeah, the fire's out, which means he's finding pace, and he's keeping himself very close with Doug Cloud, who's having a wonderful race here today. And I'm keeping an eye on Aldris Valenteas, because that gap he took, get this, it was a 27-1 from Jacob Reed, played a 25-1 from Aldris Valenteas. He took 2 seconds on that last lap. I think traffic played a huge factor in it, but Valenteas is in range. They'll take another look here with Jamie Hamill-Smith. So Bogran's being a little unpredictable in front. He just goes over, and then everybody just basically jumps onto the sinking ship. And look at that. It's a climb over the top for the likes there of Matthew Cockram. There's nothing you can do about that. A massive hit from 2 Audi GTOs.
I thought that was a pause of a barrel roll, because in my head I was having just the good old boys playing in my head. Yeah, Starsky and Hutch, but unfortunately that's the moment. He had to get on the brakes to slow down, but the car behind doesn't know what's happening in front, and it's just a concertina effect. And that's so unfortunate out there. So this is Valenteas. We'll get back to the racing. This is Valenteas. That's Jacob Reed. The gap, 1.5 seconds. You've also got Van Hicks holding off Joni Hagner and Andreas Schuster for second, third, and fourth in the GTOs. We'll look at that as well. But now, Jacob, this is now pure speed pace. I look at it. They're another, what would you say, Jake? 2 laps to go until traffic. Well, these guys, this is the traffic. Joni Hagner, a little bumping there onto Johan Van Hicks.
Well, Joni Hagner's been quite quiet this race. He's sidled his way by Andreas Schuster, and now he's waking up and saying, this is what I want to do. Huge look to the inside. They're going to have traffic as well, trying to play a way through. That's Christopher Lenejak who's trying to work through, and now down the inside, Davide Riccardi's going to have to wait behind this group. But Joni Hagner now knows he's going to have to be a bit selfish here. He wants through on Joran Van Hicks. He'll try and do so any which way he can, but Riccardi opens up the steering, then drives on by, and now it's about Joni Hagner, and can he move up to second? Lundberg is gone. He's almost 5 seconds clear.
Yeah, he's 5 seconds clear at 4.5 at the moment officially. I do wonder what's going to happen. Hagner's got to watch out for Schuster right behind. for sure. But this is good driving from Van Hicks. And now we talk about the constant flow of GTP traffic going through. So this gives you the idea of what you could do to make a move right now if you're Yoni Hagner. You've got the Chari 4 seconds behind you in the GTP. Say the Chari gets there into Danny Pedrosa to make the overtake. Well, why not use the GTP to make an overtake and use that hole? The GTP punch through at Danny Pedrosa. That's an idea. But with how he's driving at the moment, Hagner feels a little bit quicker. We may get something done without a GTP help down Danny Pedrosa.
Well, Yoni Hagner, if he wants the run, he's going to be super aggressive here over the top of Cito Pond. Look over on the right-hand side. There goes Jack Wells flying through, back out on circuit. There's Emilio Dechari diving down the inside. And so if you can follow Dechari through the corner, you've got half a chance here, and that's what he's going to try and do. Just can't get the gear that he wants. There's a slow GTO in front of them right now. That's Richard Hindman, who's now going to have to work a way out of the way. He moves to the inside. Parity restores.
Parity restored, and I think Yoni had a little bit of a moment. He tried to slow that car down, and I saw a lock up at the left tyres there, which suggested he just carried too much speed and had to slow it down. Jack David Spickett is going to go into the gravel and out of the kitty litter. So please clean up your mess. That's a good save for Doug. Not entirely sure what happened there with Jack. I think they were going a little bit side by side, but good hold of the steering there from Doug Cloud, the veteran, the wily veteran, just keeping it alive. But what's it cost him? A couple positions at that.
That's Jason Keddy down the inside and forcing the move on, and Doug Cloud ends up paying the price for it. There's Noel Lundberg out in front. He's got no real worries at this point in time. This is what we call a Saturday drive at the moment for him. Got to the lead and didn't look back as everyone else got mired in their own battles here. Van Hicks has Mastretta in the way between him and Yoni Hagner now. So he's got a bit of a gap to go and work with, but he's only a bit, and lest we forget Andreas Schuster there in 4th position. He's just been watching, and that's what he tends to do. He's quick, but he watches. I wonder where's the instinct of Andreas Schuster to go out there and take places.
In the race today, there is only 3 drivers who are net 0. One's retired, one's Ian Haycock, and one's Andreas Schuster. And Schuster's playing it cool, calm, and collective at the moment. He's where he needs to be right now. That's a West Country speak for you. He just needs to hold in the group, because at this opportunity, it's classic GTO racing. Stay with the group, wait until the final minute to start to make a charge. That's what Schuster's doing, and he's saving those tyres as well. That's a key factor on this track. It may only be 26 Celsius, but those tyres will heat up a bit too much.
Well, it's a case of where that driver be, or be where that driver be. So for the moment, you look around and say Andreas Schuster is exactly where he needs to be at this moment in time. Happy and stationary right now in 4th place in category. Oh, that's going to be a turn to pits for Jason Keddy, as he completely overshoots it, and now he finds himself down in the lane, and there's not much he can do. I think that's a retirement there for Keddy. Jamie Hamill-Smith back there in 15th position, trying to work his way through. 13 minutes to go, and everywhere you look, there's a little thing here and a little thing there that says there's still stuff to do in this race. You've still got to hold on. Jerry Vikstrom and Matthew Cockerham together. Cockerham, after his Dukes of Hazzard moments there, and James Barry, we've said nothing of James Barry all race. He's caught the back of Pepe Fuentes, who is dropping hand over fist time right now compared to everyone else, and I wonder whether that's the damage that he's trying to navigate through at this stage in time. So he finds himself as someone who is going to be looking around. James Barry, lightning quick and radical.
Yeah, lightning quick, and he's actually making this work. I'm just looking. I don't see a lot of issues with the times that Fuentes is putting in. I think you've got to admit, with 12 minutes left in the race, we haven't talked about Fuentes for the last, 20 minutes? So this just looks to be the pace of Balateas and Jacob Reed up the front, while Fuentes is just throwing in 28 and 27. The top 2 are throwing in 25, so could be damage, could just be a little bit of lack of slipstream, but now the slipstream belongs to Barry, and what a result this would be. He's +3 for the day. Talking of the number 3, that 3's for Dale, but it's Yoni Hagner today, and he just tried to hold off Andreas Schuster.
Oh, Pepe's gone straight on, and James Barry's going to steal the place. So as we watch Yoni Hagner holding off Andreas Schuster, James Barry has got a freebie down at Danny Pedrosa.
Yeah, just a mistake there. Almost similar to what Valenteas did earlier in the race when he went off at Jorge Lorenzo. But a different corner there as well. Joni Hagner now going there. This is the replay, what we just saw. Tries to go on. Now, I think it's just a case of turning in, taking too much speed, and just not getting that curve. And I think there's a little bit of a camber there just to help the car out. And I think that may have what caught him out there. Joni Hagner not getting the traffic help that he would like at the moment there. Van Hicks will start to pull ahead. Also trying to pull ahead. This is Alessa Jack. We've got battled outside of those front battles. He is still battling Gabriel Martinez. Alessa Jack -2 today. Gabriel Martinez, you mentioned earlier, +7. What a drive it's been for Gabri.
Yeah, Gabri's been doing very, very well out there at this moment in time. It's almost as if he sat in his own mansion and gone, you know what? This has been an okay day so far. I will just profiteer off of everybody else's mistake. And now we'll start looking around, seeing Christophe Lenajak trying to figure out where to go. And Pepe Fuentes, see another one go by. Brendan Lim gets the move round the outside of Ian Haycox and having to work it, but Brendan's got no drive. And thank you very much. Back through goes Fuentes, and someone's gone straight on down there at the dry sack corner there. And I'm trying to look, it was Doug Cloud having a massive off.
Yeah, I think Doug's, his race went from bad.
He's been turned.
Yeah, he's been turned. He's actually been turned from Theo Jerez. It actually just looked like Theo tried to go into a gap. We'll probably look at the replay in a bit. The gap that was not there. Look at Doug. He's keeping that car pointed closer to the line. Oh, was that just a little turn in? I'm not entirely sure. Might have just done one extra move there, but he kept it there. Even if he did that, I still feel there was not a gap there to begin with to make that move. Theo just being a little bit ambitious there. Can you blame him? He's not had the best of races himself.
Now, the uninitiated would say that's a deliberate mistake out there and would call that intentional. That's not intentional. That's a big spin there for Gabriel Martinez. That will end that battle in a heartbeat. And so through will go another as Davide Ricciardi picks up another one there. But when you have an incident like that, Craig, the critical factor of it is Theo's tried to point the car in a way to the inside to get that move done. He's then had that move back to try and straighten the car back out, and he's overcorrected.
Yeah, he tried to get that going, and it just did not work. And then you ask yourself the question, have you got enough room to turn into the corner? Were you able to do that? Well, it's just one you'll never know, but unfortunately did cost Doug a position. He can cost Salo. What a drive it's been. Quiet drive for him, trying to battle Jack David Spickett. Again, no news on Jack David Spickett. I think the little comment that he said at the start of the race, smell of burning, it might just been the fact that he was driving super hot. P6 in this field is really competitive, and maybe he might have just lit a fire under himself with the speed he was going. But Salo, well, he would like that to cool off right now as he's getting held up by the traffic as he tries to make a charge.
That's James Barry going through there, and so that gap is still extending out for Jack David Spickett. Contisalo trying to hold himself steady, but you've also got Fuentes, who gets balked by Ilka going through that section, and that brings Brendan Lim to the outside to try and take this long launch to get it done. Ilka had every right to hold his line. Pepe just chose wrong, and there goes movement on the back of this. Christophe Lenajak, so a three-car scrap this for best of the rest, 4th, 5th and 6th in GTP.
And you've got to think, Pepe Fuentes had a similar move half an hour ago when we saw that moment with Martin Bogren at the same corner. And he, it just got caught out once again. And it's not a show of inexperience because he's an experienced multi-class driver. Just getting caught out wrong place, wrong time. Everyone getting the best of the line. If you want a modern day comparison, think of the King Cup Road America. Think of when you don't want a GT in front of you here at the King, because you know the guy behind will be making the momentum. That is what's happened twice now to Pepe Fuentes.
Yeah, Pepe, I think, has been mired down in being in a battle for the lead and seeing all that pace go the wrong way. Lenajak has to struggle his way past Matthew Cochran, who's come out of the pits. And there's your leader, Jacob Reed. 7 minutes to go, 5 seconds clear. I don't know how many drivers have the ability to pull away in vintage machinery away from Aldrius Valenteas, but I would say there is one driver in the world who has the ability to pull away from Aldrius Valenteas in vintage machinery, and you're looking at him.
You're looking at him. Years ago, Alex Zalt, I made the comment that he was the man that did textbook multi-class driving. Jacob Reed had to find a way, how am I going to beat Valenteas? Well, if you can't beat him by just pure pace, start thinking about beating him with racecraft. And racecraft was multi-class traffic. And over the last year, the best driver in traffic has been that man in the number 2 car. Valenteas is still a great driver in the traffic. And you look at him and think sometimes, how do you do it with so much confidence? Jacob Reed's taken that and gone, I can now do it. And if I can do it, that puts the pressure on Valenteas. And I think a good comment I saw earlier, when was the last time you saw Valenteas have to defend? This has been a season that has absolutely shaken up the complexity of top drivers in GTP.
It's been a wonderful series with wonderful racing that has got so much amazing action that has handled towards it. Noel Loomberg with a comfortable display at this moment in time knows that Joran van Hicks is a full corner behind him at the moment at 5.5 seconds back, and he is walking towards another victory. And Noel Loomberg, don't get us wrong here when we say this, he is someone who can go out and construct a championship and put it together, but he does have some of the best around, and it sometimes is roll the dice and see who's in the right place at the right time. And at the moment, everything's coming up. No! Oh my goodness me, it could have been troublesome. It is! There's contact more there as they go through. Fuentes and Elena Jack there, and Ackerman's off.
Yeah, Ackerman had a moment. It looked a little bit like, yeah, Pepe Fuentes had a little bit of a slide turning in. Now, I know he put his tyres on the rumble strips there. That wouldn't have caused a moment. He got into the back of Elezajak there, or the Elezajak got into him, and I'm surprised at the damage there, and somehow they're still going. But look at the damage on the back of Pepe's car. 5 minutes ago, 3.5 seconds is the gap between Elezajak and Ricciardi. Now, are these two in danger of losing these 2 positions? If they've got damage, this is one to watch out for the final 3-4 laps of the race. Joran van Hicks, he was not hoping, but with a little bit of maybe, I needed that little wreck to get me an advantage onto Lundberg. Not happening today, as the Legend Jack goes up into 5th.
Yeah, so there's the move. Pepe Fuentes has nothing for him. Christophe Elenajak, who got the biggest scare of his life from Noel Loomberg there, who did apologise over the chat, saying, look, that's my fault, going over against the likes of what happened there with Christophe. Ultimately puts into perspective what has been going on with 4 minutes to go. Ilka Cotasalo still with something to say. He wants to work here against Jack David Spiggott, but he's not getting much love in terms of how he finds that move. He'll have Aspar corner next, which is this long 120-degree left-hand bend where you're just waiting forever to put the power down. It's a tyre killer of a corner into Angel Nieto. Here, this short shoot run over to Palucci, which sets up the last section of the lap, the runs for Alex Creville and for Ferrari.
And it looks like that Jack was taking a little bit slower than Costasalo, and Ika was trying to make a move there, but you can't go side by side in these GTOs to make that move, so he had to just back off a little bit and wait, and he can't even get the run. Look at it, mid-apex speed through Jorge Lorenzo, he was faster, but he then had to get off the throttle because he couldn't make a move. Pepe Fuentes had a moment out there. In fact, Fuentes, he decided he wants to go to the beach because that's not where you expect the car to be pointing when he comes out of that corner. Looks like he's gone a little bit too wide there.
Yeah, that looks like he's had a full switch around on it from what I've been able to get eyes on, so there is the troubles in play. Fabian Youngbluth here looking for 9th place in that Minolta livery, trying to work by Emilio Dechari for a place, and Dechari's going to dive to the inside. Soon following through is Youngbluth into Aspar corner. We got down to just 2.5 minutes in this race, but ultimate day is going to be about who is able to keep their level head on a day where everybody, I think, could have done with a siesta.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's still time for a siesta. The sun may have faded in over here in Europe, but there's still time in America to have a siesta for some of these drivers. They may need it after this. It's been another action-packed race, and this is what the drivers love about this track is, yes, there's been incidents, but look at the racing and a lot of the issue as well. If you see these two almost going to go side by side, the incidents have been between the same classes, not multi-class efficacy here. As Youngbluth tried to go around the outside, he couldn't. He's now going to keep the throttle down to try and hold this. through Michelin they'll go. This is very tough to go around the outside. What a lovely Fabian Youngblood. A little bit of a touch, but that's brilliant. And that's Fabian telling Dechary, get this, Jake, this is his first season in GTP for Emilio Dechary. That's him getting a lesson on how it's done.
Goodness me, Fabian Youngblood with an absolute bulletproof overtake around the outside of Expo 92 and Michelin. That is great. Late on, Jacob Reed is going to find himself now with not long left in this race, and they are going to be tight on time. I think we're going to get one more lap, and it will be, get this, because he's 6 seconds shy at the moment. In theory, Jacob Reed could lift off of it heading towards the line and get the checkered flag, but he's not going to get there. And look at the traffic for Aldris Valenteus. I think for the first time in a long time, Aldris is going to have to wave his flag and say, I was legitimately second best.
It is rare in this series. It's rare normally for Valenteus to actually be unable to match someone in pace. But this much difference as well is shocking. It just goes to show the level that Jacob Reed has achieved. You've got to think, 2 weeks ago, Valenteus became the sixth driver, to record a podium in all 3 of the Triple Crowns. He got a P3 after winning this 49th and the IMSA Vintage. He couldn't get the 79. That's the pedigree of driver Valenteus is. For anybody to beat him on pace, it's a big deal. For Jacob Reed, after we've been waiting for this battle for seasons on seasons, it just shows the torch is passing.
Well, Jacob Reed, a 2-time iRacing Grand Prix Tour champion, a driver who has stepped up and is putting fastest laps down in the final stages of this race. He moves himself through the GTOs. Johnny Hagner, he has diced himself by. He will now sweep around Joram van Hicks, going through turn 4, over to Cito Pons here at turn number 5. This has been the mark of a Worcesterman doing what he can do best. Just drive like he owns it. And he has owned this race. He has owned every move. He had to work so hard to get that place through on Pepe Fuentes. And when he unlocked that ability to get that pass, my, did he run away with it. He'll have now Noel Lundberg and Richard Hindman to get by, and he'll get by them both through Aspar corner. He will sit down and know that at Angel Nieto corner, he's going to see the fans on the terraces there in their virtualness. Now through Palucci and off for just 3 more corners. Alex Creville here, the fast right-hander. You've then got Ferrari corner, and he has been lights out here today as he hits Jorge Lorenzo. This is a day where Jacob Reed stamps himself down and says, I was untouchable. Jacob Reed dominates in a result like this, and get this, he'll be 10 seconds clear of Aldris Valenteus. Noel Lundberg, faultless in GTO.
Absolute brilliant drive today from Jacob Reed. You got to also give your hats off to Noel Lundberg, who did a fantastic drive as well. I'm just looking at 1:23.781. Does not set the fastest lap time for this week in a GTP. In fact, Jacob Reed's fastest lap this week was 2 thousandths faster than what he did today. The rest of the drivers coming across the line. A little bit of a race between Theo Jerez and Doug Clouds has not come to fruition, but it's been a fantastic drive all around the track today. And again, a shout out, some drivers making up 6 places out there today.
Yeah, some great moves up and down the order. This has been a day. Doug Cloud effectively will be +8 on all cars out there, and a litany of cars that found themselves in the barriers or worse coming out of today's running. This has been a showcase, to say the least, and we'll have the chance to run over with official classified results here from the Circuito de Jerez, Angel Nieto. And what a day it was for Jacob Reed. His 41 minutes and 15 seconds, a dominant 11-second victory over Aldris Valenteus, who was so frustrated with that race. He immediately blew the engine up over the line and threw it in the barriers at turn 1, disgusted with how much he lost by here today. James Barry will finish off on the podium ahead of Brendan Lim and Christophe Alenajak. Davide Riccardi will take 6th place ahead of Gabriel Martinez, with Fabian Youngblood 8th, and a long road to 9th for Pepe Fuentes, only just finishing ahead of Emilio Dicciari, which would round out your top 10 in GTP. 11th would be the last car on the lead lap, Diego Mastretta, with Bjorn Ackermann 1 lap down. Andres Felipe Diaz, who was down very early on in the race, would end up 13th. And Jack Wells, well, what can you say about that? A learning experience. He found out why Aldrius Valenterius is a champion, because he is ruthless. 14th for Jack. Lance Simon 5 laps down. And your retirees in GTP, Jason Keddy, Josephine Becker, and Henning Schwebig. It's now Craig King with GTOs.
Yep, take over for Jack. I've got the GTOs, and it's Noel Lundberg. Fantastic drive. Got the lead literally on the green flag and never lost it from Johan Van Hicks, who finished, look at that, 6.5 seconds behind. Joni Hagner will finish in third, and it's Andreas Schuster, who started fourth and finished in fourth. With Iker Costasalo up 2 places to fifth, and Jack David Spickett, fire or no fire or smoke or whatever it was, he finished where he started in sixth. Doug Cloud will come up into seventh with Theo Charret. What a race it was for him. Not we want to remember it in 8th. Romain Bello will be in 9th. And then Aitor Sinted Galindo in 10th. Which then takes us to Ian Haycox. The number 23 car will be in 11th, with Sam Skogard will be in 12th. Brandon White up 4 places to 13th. And then Jamie Hamill-Smith, he will go up 2 places to 14th. Henry Viamaki, 6 places up into 15th. Last man on the same lap. Matthew Cochrane will be 16th. Yuri Wickstrom will take 17th. Then Richard Hyman will be 18th. And Martin Krejcik retired earlier in 19th. Martin Bogren will also retired in 20th. And Matthias Hadval, last man on the page, he finished early in the race, 20 laps down.
What a great day of great racing we have had, Craig. And so when you sit down on paper and say, what does this series mean? What does it mean to be the best in these cars? I think you need 2 different skills for the 2 different categories. Noel Lundberg was unassuming for today. He didn't need to do anything dramatic. The gap just built for him and he managed it. Sometimes the race happens like that, and that's where he was so good. You look at what Jacob Reed needed to do. He had to take the race by the scruff of the neck and then generate that gap.
Yeah, and this is just one of those things that this track gives, and it's one of those that the drivers love. And again, it's that motorbike mentality. It's so tight, you have to look for the opportunities, and then when you get that opportunity, you capitalize. It's not a case of hot lapping, it's a case of just keeping your marks and just driving consistently. And again, we have this string every few seasons where we go through these European half motorbike, half racetracks, or half sports car track. We do it next week as well. Let's talk about it next week. Motorland Aragon in the best layout possible. It's the outer layout.
It very much is, and so that is one of the longest layouts that you can find, one of the most aggressive ones out there. We are going to get this chance to have a chat with some of our drivers. Craig King has rushed very quickly out of our commentary booth, and he's down with Theo Schleret.
Well, Theo, I think you said that you probably weren't going to get the lead after the first lap on the green flag. It happened, and then it went from out of the frying pan into the fire for you today. Didn't look like it was a good day out there.
Yeah, no, it wasn't, but I knew that for sure because I discovered that track just last week, so my consistency was very off. And yeah, my lack of practice and the bit of unluck struck because I looked at my incident at the beginning, and it happened that the GTP behind misshifted into second, had a snap oversteer, and it was just like down to the alley.
Yeah, it was a little bit of bad luck out there, but of course the pace was there today, and then you had that moment at the start of the race where all 4 of you having a little battle. Then came the traffic. This is a track that suits the GTPs more than the GTOs. How was it paying attention to the rearview mirror for quite a lot of that race?
Well, for most of the time, it was fine. I just found myself against a couple of GTPs that were kind of, what's the word? Optimistic at some points. So gladfully, I have the largest rearview mirror possible. So I was able to catch that. And some hectic moments where it was difficult to know where the car would try to pass me. But in the end, yeah, I'm pretty used to look behind myself for because of faster classes. So yeah, I could deal with that.
Well, we've come now out of Jerez. We go to Aragon next week. It's a track where I can't remember if we saw you the last time we went to Aragon, but what is your experience on that track? It's the long outer layout. That promises to have a little bit of respite for you.
I remember that sometime last year I came back to racing this series, and it was Aragon. So I have a bit of experience on the track, and well, the reason why I was able to predict that I would throw my pole is because I did last time at Aragon, just looking up the fronts and finishing in fourth after getting that pole. So this time, a bit more practice under the foot, and hopefully I will be able to, well, get a race at the level of my practice.
Well, Theo, we don't see you a lot of the time, and it's great to see you once again. Before we go, is there any shout-outs you'd like to give?
Well, for sure, I would say I would like to, apologize once again to Doug, because, that was a bit hectic, and I didn't want to pass him like that. So at that point, I just wanted to let him pass again. So sorry again to him. And then, thanks again to all the drivers to make that series alive, and thanks to you guys to allow us to, make some good and bad memories while watching ourselves and some popcorn.
Well, Theo, we can't do it without you. We need drivers on the track, and it's drivers like you that help us. Theo Jerez, who finished in 8th, a bad day, but pole position for him. And I believe down the racetrack, I've got Jake out of the directors and the commentary booth again, because I believe he's alongside an Aitor, Sintez Galindo.
I am Aitor, jumping in here in GTO, looking for a good result out there today. It started 31st, you end up 23rd. It's a day where you end up getting, I would say, a pretty decent result out of it. Just talk us through your race.
Absolutely, yes, indeed. It's been a good race altogether, I have to consider, because it's my first, I believe, my first top 10 with the Audi on the broadcast here on Saturday. So yeah, I'm definitely very happy with this result, because then again, it's my first season, full season. It's going to be my first full season with the Audi. Still learning a lot with every race I do, and yeah, still little by little, just like Aston Martin on the IMSA with the new GTP. So yeah, very happy with the result, and yeah, very happy to see for next week what's coming after.
So talk us through what made that race difficult, because it looked like from us that being a GTO today was going to be one of the toughest challenges out there, because those GTPs, when they're going through Alex Creville and into Ferrari corner, the amount of speed difference is insane. Do you get that sense that, you know, you're sitting there in a car that's going pretty quick, and then suddenly it's like having a missile go by you?
Absolutely, yes. And I've been here couple of times already, and I know I've been on the faster end of on this interactions, and yeah, it's one of those moments. It was like you now have to get that experience and say, okay, you now in the other side, and see if you can get not get in the way of the Nissan. So let's just say but to still have your own race, because you have to fight for your own race and everything. But yeah, it's been tough, because let's just say hectic was an understatement with this track. Then again, it's a very small one, and 40 cars is already quite chaotic, and especially with the Nissan field being this quick and yeah, very aggressive. But they have to be aggressive, because these places have to be fought tooth and nail. So yeah, you have to stay on your toes. I have had your mirror constantly say crew chiefs warning of faster traffic. Yeah, okay, gonna keep an eye on the mirror just in case, and save me a lot of trouble, especially. And thanks to the style of driving with the Audi, I can manage to say and not lose so much time compared to the Nissan, but. It's been a learning experience today, and I'm very, very happy to survive and having a top 10, to be honest.
Well, experience today has been fantastic, but it looks like it is a lot of your advantage or home field advantage. Of course, you've had Jerez here today. Next week, it's Aragon Outer. And then 2 weeks after Aragon, it's Barcelona Catalunya. So that's 3 Spanish tracks in 4 weeks. Do you feel like this is the best time of the season for you?
Absolutely, yes. I named this the Iberian Tour. I think we're going to Portimao as well. So yeah, it's pretty much an Iberian Tour. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to Barcelona because it's my second favorite track, and it's gonna be. One of the tracks is like, I think I could get away with the Nissan just for 1 week, but then again, I still have to learn the Audi, especially on sweepers and long corners. So yeah, another track to look forward. And also Aragon, I think it's gonna be a better experience on the Audi than in the Nissan because I never enjoyed the experience on the Nissan on Aragon. So yeah. We'll take what we learned today, and yeah, looking for Aragon, and we'll see about what position I can get for next Saturday.
Well, we'll wish you the best of luck for 7 days' time. Aitor Sintes Galindo there, joining us and picking up a top 10 in GTO here today. That will bring the curtain across here from the Circuito de Jerez. Want to give a massive thanks to the team here today who has got this one done and dusted for everyone, from Craig, from Daniel, and from Dougie. My name's been Jake Sperry, and this has been a Genesis Extreme production. Now, in terms of what comes up in 7 days' time, we've been talking about it. It is Motorland Aragon, but it is critically the outer layout, that long run out of Marc Marquez corner all the way to that final overtaking place is going to be massive, and you are going to see many a move there. You'll definitely want to check that out. Once again, 5 p.m. UTC, 1 p.m. Eastern. You can catch that, of course, in 7 days' time, as well as what is coming up on the horizon with our next upcoming races. Tomorrow, we'll be over at Watkins Glen. There's no chicanes for the Classic Lotus Grand Prix Series, so that is going to be a roller coaster thrill ride. The Skip Barbers are going to be back on Thursday, not Sunday as it says, over at Alton Park. Grand Prix Legends will return with the Tricky Triangle in a road course form. It's the legacy layout of Pocono which will be coming up, and then Motorland Aragon for the Vintage Series 7 days from now. But today, it's about how you conform to a championship. Noel Lundberg taking the opportunity to jump himself back into order. He had a wonderful drive here today away from Joran van Hicks and Jonny Hagner. It was a tough field and he got the gap he wanted. But sometimes you have to make a little bit of magic happen, and it was something special to behold here in Andalusia. It was one day of saying one data scientist to stand up, and can you be better than the gold standard? I'd say Jacob Reed was platinum in the way he got this done today. Algiers will have some soul searching to do. Next time we're with you with the IMSA Vintage Series when we tackle racing action over at Aragon.
This is iRacing.